Thank you. Alrighty. We're going to go back past the Salzburg Palace in a minute on your right. But I have my own 16-17 story. Are you ready? Well, I was actually 16-17, going on 17 when I had my exchange year, but that's not the story. Last year when I decided to stay in Austria, I leased a car for a year. That's how I decided how long I would stay, because I needed to commit to a year. So I'm like, okay, a year. And I called the car Liesel. Before I picked the car up, I'd already named her. We were on the train to go and pick up Liesel. My daughter said to me, Mum, we need to look when Liesel goes from 16 to 17 kilometres. I was like, brilliant. The palace is on your right too, for everyone, if you wanted to get a rainier shot there as we go past. So we went to pick her up. We forgot all about it. I forgot all about it. And then the lady was showing us around the car. And my daughter was tugging on my sleeve and she said, Mum, you really need to open the door and look at the dashboard. And yes, it was on exactly 16 kilometres. And I thought, if that's not a sign that I'm supposed to stay in Austria for a year, I don't know what is. So we did a lot of skipping and squirreling and joyful playing around the car. The lady had no idea what was going on. And so we then drove for the first kilometre, filming the dashboard going, I am 16 going on 17. Start again, I am 16 going on 17, until we got it. So Liesel's going back in September, and I've decided I'm having way too much fun to go back to Australia, so I'm staying another year. So I've got Friedrich coming in September now. Just ordered Friedrich last Friday. And Friedrich, I'm going to keep a bit of a secret and tell my friends, Friedrich and I are going away for the weekend. Friedrich and I will be over for dinner tonight. I'll see how long it takes them to work out. I'm talking about my car. Should be fun. Anyway, do we have any Austrians on board today? No. Do you know why? Because the Austrians don't know this movie, so why would they come on the tour? Austria and Germany and Switzerland pretty much never took this movie in. It was not successful in any of these countries. Everywhere around it in the rest of the world, but not these three countries. If you go outside of Salzburg, when you say something about Sound of Music, chances are they will have no idea what you're talking about. So it's not even that they've not heard the movie, seen the movie, they just don't even know. So people who are involved in tourism industry, of course, will know about it. And in Salzburg, they definitely see our buses driving around. So here it's much more well known. But it only lasted 3 weeks in the cinema before they took it out. It wasn't successful. Now, part of the reason, I'm going to interrupt and say, on the left-hand side, that building, that's an Edelweiss flower, just so you know, that's what it looks like. And part of the reason was because they already knew the One Tribe story from the documentaries that had been made. But the biggest part of the reason why it was never successful here was because of the Nazi theme in the movie way too soon in the 60s, and way too close to home, considering it really was happening on the other side of that mountain and all around us here. So they didn't want that as entertainment on their big screens here. And after they missed that initial boat, it didn't just take off here. For some of the celebrations, because of tourism, they do the sing-along version. They had it in Salzburg for the 40th anniversary, but they still do it in Vienna now and then as well. And most Austrians will first hear about the Sound of Music when they travel abroad, and someone says, where are you from? They say Austria, and they'll go, I'll be back. First we have Arnie, and they'll, Sound of Music. This is Ferdy's hero. It's your brother, cousin, something like that. Yeah, it's his hero. And speaking of which, because Ferdy was telling me about him, I recently watched the, at Ferdy's recommendation, the Netflix series about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sensational. 3-part series. Really amazing story. Have a look at that one. Yes. Edelweiss. Back to the Edelweiss. So the song Edelweiss, the beautiful Austrian folk song in the movie, the Austrians have also never heard of, because it was written by Rodgers and Hammerstein for the musical, and then brought into the movie. So it is not an Austrian folk song. It's in English, guys. That doesn't work in a German-speaking country. But the movie managed to convince the rest of the world that it was the Austrian national folk song. So much so that in the Ronald Reagan era, in the White House, there was a fancy dinner one night, and 2 of the guests were the Austrian president and the real Maria von Trapp at age 79, and they decided to honor their presence by playing the national anthem for Austria. And yes, they did play Edelweiss. True story. So someone didn't do their homework there. Or it was a Sound of Music fan who thought, I wonder if I can get away with this. Anyway. It's illegal to pick an Edelweiss, so if you see one, please don't do that. Yeah, they're very protected, special flowers that grow only very high up in the Alps and survive all sorts of extreme conditions. So it is a national floral emblem. We're just going around the corner now to have a closer look at the Nonnberg Abbey. We're not getting out though, so that works with this weather now.